This video is about the cost of driving tests and the cost of your driving test on the day of your test, because there is a charge from your instructor as well. So look, it doesn't come up very often, but sometimes on the comments section, sometimes people use the word corrupt driving instructor, blah blah blah. They're charging like loads and everything. And I do have like a little bit to say about that, of course. I've been a driving instructor for a very long time, and so I'm just going to explain it. The theory test is 23 at the moment. We are in July 2026 at the time of this video, and the theory test is 23 and the main test is 62, 63, something like that, right? 62 or 63 on the weekday, and I think up to £75 on the weekends and bank holidays and stuff like that. So the test itself can range through the years of being a driving instructor. There has been companies that have been set up even for the theory to rip you off. Okay, so you just book through the gov.gov website, because there are websites that say, oh, if you fail your first one, then we'll just get you another one free of charge. And some of those have been bogus, because if you have to fail in a certain way, and the way that you fail under their criteria is really hard. I can't go into it now because I can't really remember, but for years and years and years this was a thing, and people were spending like triple, maybe even quadruple the amount of the theory test, and then, you know, it was shocking for a while. Anyway, so that was happening, and then the test itself, £62. Yeah, okay, you're going to be paying the DVSA £62 for the examiner to sit there with his fluorescent jacket on, right? Now, they say that the DVSA is actually losing money from this and not making a profit. That's what they say. If you do research on this, apparently the DVSA is losing money, and they should actually be charging a lot more for the driving tests. Part of me thinks that maybe the driving test should be a little bit more expensive. I know I'm probably going to get attacked for that, but it has been the same price for a very long time, and it's quite cheap, and I think people just give it a go. And actually giving it a go is not very safe, not a very safe thing to do. So I don't know, I'm probably going to get attacked for that, but it is what it is. Just make sure that you're like really safe. Yeah, go to this test and be safe. Anyway, I'm going to move on, because moving on to the cost of the hire of the driving test car. If you have an instructor, you are going to need to borrow their car, right? Or hire their car if you like, if you haven't got your own. So of course the driving instructor is very likely going to charge you his standard rate, her standard rate for the lesson. However, some driving instructors have an extra fee because of damage to car. If you hit the wheel on the left and damage the alloy, or burst the tyre, or turn and damage the wheel, maybe like misalign the alignment, or something like that. So they put a standard fee on their on the test. Now for me, I don't, because the reason why I don't is because the damage to car, I find, is incredibly rare. I think my car has been damaged on test in 23 years probably about 3 times, and it's just been a wheel scuff, yeah, or wheel alignment or something like that. So it's incredibly rare, right? So, you know, you teach your student to pull up on the left really well so they don't hit the curb. Driving instructors, PDIs, if you're watching this, make sure that you go over that again, okay, because it's one of those subjects that you kind of leave alone sometimes for many weeks, and the student forgets how to do it. So if you're a PDI, I strongly advise that you do that to protect your wheels, okay? Because yeah, anyway, moving on. So some instructors will put an extra fee on the driving test to cover the fact that you might damage the car. And that's their prerogative, right? Because they're giving you the car, and they will say, you know, if you hire a car, there's a fee, and that's that, right? Others will make you sign a piece of paper saying that if you damage my car, you are responsible for the first £250 or something like that. And they make you sign the document. And if you then damage the car, then under their rules, then you're liable for the damage to the car. You know, I think that, even though I don't do that, I think that's potentially quite a fair way of doing it. Because if you damage the car, then you pay for it, like you've hired a car for the day. You've just hired it off somebody that you know. So I don't mind that one. The only reason why I think I don't do that is just because it creates an energy in the car. And I think it might be unnecessary because, like I say, my car has been damaged very little on driving tests over the years. So I don't think it's necessary to create that energy or even talk about accidents or damage to car. I just don't see how that's necessary. So I don't do that. If you are hiring a driving instructor just for their car, this is where it could get a bit dodgy. So if you're going to be using the word corrupt or something like that, I think this is probably the area that it could happen. If you just contact a total stranger, instructor online who's got a dual controlled car, can I have your car for test? I've been let down by my instructor. Yes, you can. That's £500. You know, this is the area that you're now dealing with. You need something. You're contacting somebody. They don't know who you are. You don't know who they are. They've got a dual controlled car for some reason. Yeah, maybe they've just put them in themselves and called themselves a driving instructor. I don't know. Maybe it's a real driving instructor. I have no idea. But I think this realm now, it could be the area where there's corruption. Yeah, because they're going to put a huge price on it because you don't know them. So maybe there. However, I don't know. This is kind of, because I'm an innocent, right? This is how I feel about it. If somebody kept on taking people up to test with a dual controlled car, the examiners would catch on, and they'd be like, well, who is this person? There's no badge in the car. If it was not a real driving instructor, I think he'd get found out and it would be against the law, right? Because it's illegal driving instruction. So, yeah, but I want to cover all bases in this video, yeah? But I think eventually, I don't think that would work as a business plan because the instructors would report it or get the law involved. So I don't think that would work for very long. If it was a real driving instructor, then they're putting their job at very, very high risk, because every time they have a fail mark, which would happen a lot, I think, if you're just giving it to students who just say, I've been let down by my instructor, I need a dual controlled car. You know, then you're going to be contacted by the DVSA if you're putting a huge thing on it, and you have to do exams because you've got so many fails. You have to prove that you're a good driving instructor. So I don't believe in that either, and unless the person is just going to give up soon, and he's just going to get as much money, you know, towards the end of his career as physically possible. The things that I know have happened through the years from dodgy driving instructors, and I can't believe that this happened years ago. People have spoken about it, but they would sort of sell a Pass Plus without actually doing the Pass Plus. Pass Plus is 6 hours, and then they'd just sell the piece of paper without actually sitting in the car. I heard somebody boasting about that. Oh yeah, I just sell it for 65 quid or whatever it was at the time. This is years ago. You know, this is, I mean, it may even be a lie. I mean, I don't know. I just feel, I mean, you'll have to write down in the comments, won't you, like what's happened to you perhaps, or what you believe in. But the thing is this, right? If you've learnt to drive with your driving instructor, this is what's going to happen. You're going to know them. You're going to have built a relationship with them. They've taught you how to drive. You book your test for £62 or 75 or whatever, whichever one you've decided to get, 62, 63. And then when you go to test, they're going to charge you for probably 2 hours, because you have a warm-up hour, and then you hire the car. Some people will have it the same same price as their standard lesson, and then others may lift their price slightly because of damage to car. And I don't think that is like highly unusual. I don't do it, but I don't think it's unheard of to put like a fee on damaged tyres. Do I think that's fair? I myself don't think it's necessary. If you're teaching your student not to hit the curb, I think it's much less likely to happen. I've only had damage 3 times. Yeah. If they get you to sign something, I do think that's quite fair. I don't do that, but signing it, but it just creates an energy, doesn't it? Crashing the car, hitting the car, you're you know, responsible for the first 250. Yeah, okay, I kind of get that. But does it create an energy in the car for you to worry about having accidents? Should we really be putting that energy out there? Should we be allowing somebody to go to test if there is a chance of them creating an accident that is worth? I don't know. It's getting a bit complicated now, isn't it? But that's how I feel about it. I don't know. Maybe I'm an innocent, but corruption in driving instruction, since they've put all of the rules on us, like if we have too many fails, you know, we have to get marked. I think these days you're probably going to get more annoyed with your driving instructor because they won't let you go to test, because you're not ready, because they're worried about their job. So they'll be, I think you're probably going to get more annoyed by that, because they're worried that they're going to have extra exams if you fail. So that's probably the battle these days. We won't, you know, just give you the car and give it a go. I mean, I've never been a give it a go person. You know, you've got to be really good. You've got to drive really well if I let you go to your test, because do you know how heavily it sits on my heart to know that I have the responsibility? I'm going to get upset, but people's lives, I cannot let people's children go to their test if I know that there's a chance that something horrendous is going to happen. Do you know how heavily that sits on my heart, to maybe one day open the newspaper and hear something? I cannot be responsible for that. If you go to test my car, you will be ready for your driving test and you will be flipping amazing. You will be one of my legends. You will be a mini-me and you will be excellent. And it isn't about just being okay. It's about being safe. It's being about safe. And I'm not going to be reading about your name in the newspaper if you learn to drive with me. I care about you, and I care about what I'm going to read in the newspaper and what my responsibilities are. All right. Anyway, that's going a bit off topic. Have a nice day.